Alright, in this video I want to get into more about why you should be as wise as a serpent. And it's because of this trick that's being played on everybody. And it's a very simple trick that's very easy to get caught up into. Now, it's like what we see here, right? We got white magic and we got black magic. This is supposed to be good and this is supposed to be evil, right? Yet, excuse me, both are actually evil. Both are actually wrong. They're bad, right? Yet this looks good because of how evil this is. This can be blatantly evil, right? This one is selfish, like you're doing all this stuff for yourself and your family, just taking care of you, right? To benefit yourself. So that's evil, right? Because being good is being selfless, thinking about others, right? This is just blatantly evil where you're doing harm and all this crazy stuff, and it makes this side look really good, right? But they're both in the same camp. And I like this illustration here because you got this upside down pentagram, right? That's evil. This is flipped over, right? When this is actually just, if you tilt it to the right a little bit or to the left a little bit, you got this. You don't have to flip it upside down. So it's not like the complete opposite, right? You just turn it a little bit and you got the good. Or you turn it the other way and oh, you got bad again. All you gotta do is little turns, right? That's how subtle it is. And I like this illustration up here as well because it shows this necklace in both pictures, but there's an angel and a demon, right? And the way I see this is as Satan and Lucifer, right? Satan, he's obviously evil, being himself, not hiding. But then he comes as an angel of light, pretending to be good and truthful and caring, right? But he's just bullshitting you. And we see this played out in wrestling, right? Anybody who's watched WCW, WWF, ECW, or WWE now, and all these different wrestling organizations, and it's done and other things as well, but it's easy to see in wrestling where you might like wrestling and you watch wrestlers, right? But to really get you caught up in it, they will take these two wrestlers who, they're friends and co-workers, it's whatever, and they're both, putting on an act, they're both being fake, but one of them becomes blatantly evil and the bad guy, right? And you just want this guy to get beat up, right? You want him to be taken out. Well, then whoever steps up, it could be this guy. You were like, this guy's not even a good wrestler. This guy, he has no personality or nothing about him. You don't even like him, right? But all of a sudden, he's standing up and he's the only one that's fighting against this. Now you're like, this guy, I like this guy. And he beats him up and whatnot. And you're like, yeah, right? So they build up this drama between them. But just like this is one picture, they're part of the one company putting on a show, right? And when you grow up, you realize that, and it's just a show, and you can have fun with the show, but you don't get caught up in it because in reality, the guy who's playing the evil guy could actually be a decent guy. He's just pretending to put on a show, and the guy who's pretending to be the good guy could actually be a real jerk in real life, for all you know. Not that that matters. I'm just saying here that it's a show, right? And we see this played out all the time. If you pay attention when you're watching a TV show, you're watching a movie, you're watching a music video, you're seeing posters for this and that and the other thing, you'll see a lot of black and white checkerboard, whether it's just on a floor, could be on the wall, could be on the ceiling real quick in a shot that they show walking into a building. Uh, it could be somebody's sweater, scarf, or something. or they have the actual checkerboard sitting in the room, but you always see this black and white, right? It's because the whole magic thing is together, right? They're joined. The black and the white are together. But because of the contrast, they appear to be separate. But they're all just one board, all together. And they're like a buddy team, left hand, right hand kind of thing, right? Left wing, right wing. Two wings on the same bird, you know, two sides of the same coin. You know, there's other ways to say that. And in reality, what we see as the white magic, the good guys, you could actually see as gray, right? Because there's some good to them, but it's mixed with evil. And it looks white because it's next to black. So if there's not any real white around, then the gray looks white next to the black. But then if you brought in some real purity, I wish I had an example to do that with. Like if this was black and gray. Let's see if I can do that real quick. Black and gray. There we go. There we go. Let's use this. So that's what it really is. But you see this as white if all you see is the black around, like these black squares. This looks good. This looks clean and white. But since we have the white here, we can see that, nah, that's not white. It just looks lighter than the blackness. Right? And that's the trick. This one's even better because it looks even a bit more white. So the trick really gets to you. I'm going to go with this one because it makes it a little bit more obvious, easier to get the demonstration here. But that's what's going on here. And I'm going to now apply this to what's going on in the world. Because we got something going on. And things are going to be revealed. And it's going to be a big shock to everybody. And there's people who are in this camp. And there's people who are in this camp. Right? But a lot of people are going to start leaving this camp and joining this camp. But all in all, they're both the same camp. The black and the gray are together. The black and the white are together here. I'm calling it gray because it's not really white. It wants to be white. Right? This only is here and looks good because of this. If this wasn't here, you wouldn't accept this. You wouldn't accept this gray as white and as good if it didn't have the black here. But people are going to jump to this because they're being played. And I think it's funny how this actually plays a little bit into wrestling, which I'll bring up in a minute here. But what we got going on here is there is something going on, and I know a lot of people don't like getting into this, and I don't know what words I can say and not say without getting this flagged and banned from YouTube. I might have to just upload it to Rumble. But there is a satanic cabal, right? And they're doing a lot of sick things with children and getting adrenochrome so that they can have eternal youth and they can be blackmailed and controlled because of their use of children. And this stuff is going to be exposed soon. I'm not going to get into too much detail. I can send some links into the info, but there's some really creepy, disgusting stuff and a lot of evidence for it. And this is going to be exposed. But the thing is this is on both the left and the right, but it's being portrayed as if it's only on the left, as in the Democratic Party, the liberal far left, right? They're playing the part of Satan, the cabal, the demonic and evil, right? And all of this is going to be exposed pretty soon. I don't know within the year, but within the next few years, things are going to change drastically. And that's why we have what's going on now in the world, because things are being exposed and they're trying to manipulate and control things, so they have to put out this fake, what is a word I can use? This fake problem that is affecting the world, the whole world right now. And you need to, stay home to protect yourself, and you need to cover your face, which makes it easier for them to fake things as well. Is this really so and so that's sitting at the podium talking? I mean, they got a mask on or what have you. Is it really them? It's going to be hard to tell, right? And yeah, it's crazy because then you got the other side, which is in the same boat, but they look good because of the left. These guys are the good guys, right? This is wrestling. And it's funny because Trump was on wrestling once and punched Vince McMahon in the face. And it's funny that he ends up doing this, right? And it is crazy because this is basically the Lucifer side, where it's the Satanists just pretending to be the good guys, coming as an angel of light. And I think it's funny that they use this 666 serpent saying, "Don't tread on me." That's kind of funny. And it's a rattlesnake, so it's poisonous, it's deadly. And they're using that as the symbol as well. So they're putting it there in your face. It's not something that's really hidden. If we didn't have the left, we didn't have the obvious satanic evil cabal, this right would not start to look really good, especially when news gets out and arrests are being made and everything's being exposed. They're going to look like the good guys. But they're not. They're not. It's a deception. It's to get you to support them. And I always thought it was funny that everybody I knew growing up thought Donald Trump was a rich, pompous ass. And even listening to him, you can get that from him. Somebody was interviewing him and said that he wasn't humble, and he goes, "I think I'm really humble. I'm real humble. I just don't think you understand how humble I really am." And just that phrase right there shows like how just high-minded this guy is of himself. And there's other things like that he says that is just like, why would anybody want to support him? And the only reason is because of the left. If it wasn't for the left, nobody would be supporting the right. They wouldn't be supporting Trump. It's like wrestling. Like I said, you can take some guy you don't care about, but if he fights against the guy you hate, he becomes your hero. And that's what they've done, right? But it's a big deception. I don't know what this is. I just typed in the word, see what would come up. I guess this works right here. This is a good little picture to have. Deception, falsified, swindled, hoax, fabricated, pseudo, phony, a liar, unreal, forced, lie, sham. Yeah, I think that gets the picture out there, right? It's actor. There's a good one. Copy, invented, contrived, mimic, trick, fallacy. But yeah, I like all this stuff because that's kind of what's going on in the world, right? It's a big misleading hoax, right? And it's to cover up what's going on because things are about to hit the fan, things are about to change, and this satanic order doesn't want to let go and give way to the Lucifer order. It's basically, like I said, two hands on the same body, two wings of the same bird, two sides of the same coin. It's a trick where you don't even care about that coin, but since you got something really evil that's really a problem, you would rather have the other side, right? But it's like I said right here, it's just a little turn. All you got to do is take this and turn this down a little bit to the right and you got this. Or you can take it and turn it the other way, a little bit down here to the left and you got this. And they act like this is flipped upside down of this. Like this is good and they flipped it upside down. I was like, no, they just a subtle little turn. This little gem with the demon and the angel, right? So anyway, in this video, I'm going to get into how this is a deception and what is to come. In Revelation chapter 13, we read about the beast out of the sea, and I think I'm going to just end up reading this whole chapter here. I have gotten into videos about the revelations of Daniel and Revelation. If you want to check out those videos where I get into more detail about this to show how this beast out of the sea is the Holy Roman Empire that has become Papal Rome. And I'll briefly go over this to show this. And it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Alright, so the sea represents a multitude of people. We get into that later on in Revelation 17:18. And the sea is interesting because the Roman Empire is based on the law of the sea, Admiralty law, the law of commerce, Roman law. It goes by a few different names, but it's the law of the sea, right? And it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So we see here, this beast is made up of the beasts that were in Daniel. And these beasts represented the different kingdoms of the statue in Daniel chapter 2. The lion represented Babylon, which was taken out by the bear, Medo-Persia, which is taken out by the leopard, which is Greece, which is taken out by the dragon, the indescribable beast, which is Rome. And Rome gave this beast his seat and great authority, which is what the Roman Empire did. It gave the seat and authority over to the papacy. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And this is manifold. We have an example of in 1798, Napoleon arrested the Pope. The Pope is supposed to be head of the Catholic Church. That head received a deadly wound, right? But then I think it's about 5 years later, the Pope is re-established, and you just can't defeat this beast, right? Who can war against the beast? Who can war against the Catholic Church? Can you? Anybody? And there's also, like, I think, was it John Paul, who had an assassination attempt on him, and that's why they have the Pope Mobile that's bulletproof now, because that is a type. There's going to be one, like we see in Zechariah chapter 11, the false shepherd, who is going to have a blackened right eye and a withered right arm, because there's going to be an assassination attempt. And this, again, is referring to that. So we see this being played out in types to keep pointing us and reminding us and letting us not forget and pay attention to what's coming. And it says, and they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Matter of fact, I brought up a quote from 1922. The Pope at the time says that he is the Holy Father, the Vicar of Christ on earth, and therefore makes him God on earth. And this is nothing new. The popes claim to be God on earth and to be able to forgive sins. That's blasphemy. And they believe they can change laws and times. They can change the Bible. But they get the authority to do that from the Bible. So get that circular reasoning, huh? How does that make any sense? Right? I get the authority from the Bible. So the Bible gives me the authority. So it's the authority, but I can change the authority. Because the authority gave me the authority to change the authority. Yeah, get that one through your head. But see, these are the blasphemies. Great things. And it says here, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. This is played out in different ways. This is 1260 days, a day for a year in prophecy. Starts in, 538 AD, when the Roman Empire is officially established as the papacy. And then it is taken out in 1798 by Napoleon. So it continued for that time, and after the end of that time, the Dark Ages finally come to an end, and things start to change. And there's an Enlightenment period. People come back to God, and to the truth, to the Bible. And this is also talking about 3.5 year period, the time of Jacob's trouble. Right? So there's like many fold to applications. Not just one is correct. There's all kinds of different applications, and they play out that way to give you a type to see what's coming as a warning, right? And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name in his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, which is exactly what the Catholic Church did, and they killed a great many people for believing the Bible, for reading the Bible, and preaching the Bible. Ain't that something? And to overcome them, and powers given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So we see here he's given power over all the kindreds and tongues and nations. And through Roman law, Admiralty law, the law of the sea, this has been done. All the countries, through their trade agreements and all of this, are bound by contract through Roman law, Admiralty law, and they set up different things like social security numbers and birth certificates. All this stuff ties into this. You just look into that. I make videos about common law and what have you as well, give you more detail about this, which flows into what is to come, this whole deception, the Lucifer order here. Right? You see how we got two here, two beasts, right? Like the Satanic Cabal and the QAnon. That's what we're going to use them as representations here, right? This beast looks good because of the beast before it was so evil. It says here, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. Right? So it's not the sea, so it doesn't come up out of a great multitude. Right? In the earth, the law of the earth, the law of the land, is common law. America, the United States for America, was established on common law. It says he had two horns like a lamb. So two horns is like two kings, right? As we read above, the horns are like crowns and kings. We got the two-party system. It came up like a lamb, right? And the lamb is something peaceful. It represents Jesus. But it says, and he spake as a dragon, which is what we got above there, like Satan, right? So it's a dragon in sheep's clothing, much worse than a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? I think it would be obvious, having a dragon trying to be a sheep. You think you'd be able to tell. It'd be hard to really fool a sheep with this giant dragon with a sheepskin on his head, right? But it seems to have worked. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. We see America have done that with nuclear weapons, missiles, the mother of all bombs, napalm, all this stuff. There's even laser weapons. You can see some of the fires in California, and you can see some weird laser weapon coming down, causing some of that. Something you might want to look into. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. And what is this? What is the image to the beast? Well, that first beast is a combination of church and state. It mixes, at the time, was Christianity with the Roman Empire, which is adultery against God, and they created Catholicism. And that's why it's an abomination, and that she's a harlot, and this and that. America is going to do the same thing, where they have a separation of church and state. They're going to mix Protestantism with the state, and they're going to make an image to that first beast, where it's going to be church and state combined. And I don't know, maybe it would be Catholics ahead, because Catholics got a lot of vote and power and getting more power in America. Maybe to be president, you'll have to be Catholic, right? Something's going on with that, where they're combining the church and the state together. And what leads to that is because of the satanic cabal, with all their transgender and homosexual agenda that they're giving to the children, on all the bashing and hating of God and the Bible, and removing the Ten Commandments from the courts and all this. It's just a slingshot, pulling real far this way so that we fling way over to the right, where we wouldn't have gone unless we weren't forced so far into that left that we fight back, and we fight back so hard we go all the way too far to the right, right? So it's like, instead of pushing you to the right and you keep resisting, like, stop pushing me, well, they pull you, they keep pulling to the left, and you're like, stop pulling me, and you fight back so hard that you fly to the right where they want you to go, right? So they make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And we already went over that. But another thing about going from the left to the right again, it's the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. And they were Catholics, big-time Catholics. And they used the left to fling over to the right. They used communism and the fear of communism and everything communism was doing to slingshot them over to fascism. And that's what we're going to get again in America. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? So they're automatically going to assume that if you're not with them on the light side, which is really gray, that you're with the cabal. But you're actually on the white side. You're with Jesus. You're with God. But they're going to think that they are with God, because the ones who are going to go after you and torment you and kill you, they're going to think they're doing God's will. They really are. And if you're not going along with it, they're going to think, there's something satanic about you. That's how crazy this deception is going to be. And it's interesting how, like I said, how this happened in Germany. And one of the things they would do, is what the Catholics like to do, is to take out the Jews. And that's how we get this time of Jacob's trouble. Because America is pretty much pro-Israel because of the Protestant influence. But once it's really combined church and state, and it's more an image of the beast, where it's Catholic, kind of like Nazi Germany, that was a taste with the Holocaust. Yeah. So you can just imagine something more of a worldwide thing. And this beast, America, is what does the mark of the beast here, as it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Excuse me. This is why a lot of people get into, what is it called? I want to say numerology, but I don't think that's what it is. What it's actually called, but it's basically where you're able to take, because it says a number of a man, right? And the number of his name, the number of his name, and then it's a number of a man. So you can take the name and convert it into numbers by the letters, and you can get this. Because it says, here is wisdom, let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. That's the number of a man. Of his name. Right? Number of a man, and it's of a man's name. So that's where you get people putting people's names to numbers, and you get this. And I'm not going to get too much into this, because you'll find a lot that has to do with Verkala Vela Dei, Vicar of Christ, which is the title of the Pope, is 603 score and six, and you can get more into that, because the Pope is basically the seat of the actual Antichrist. And it seems like when this cabal thing happens, it gets shut down, there's going to be a reform to this first beast, and there's going to be, the Antichrist is going to sit in the Pope's seat, and whoever's running America is basically going to be like a false prophet, getting everybody to support him. And then there's going to be a treaty with the Jews, and it's going to have something to do with the temple and taking out the Muslims, because it'd be another crusade like what the Catholic Church likes to do. But then they also want to get rid of the Jews, so halfway through things change and they break the covenant. But anyway, this is how it's happening in America. This is the second beast here. It's a slingshot going on. It's just right around the corner that this is going to be playing out. And we already see, how a lot of people on the right are against having some kind of regulation against them. I got to be careful of the words I use concerning traveling and buying and selling, because you don't have a certain something jabbed into you, and they're against that. But then a lot of them are going to be supporting it when the right side does it. So they say no when the left does it, but they'll say yes when the right does it. And this is going to wake a lot of people up. And in the midst of all this, I imagine that's when the man of sin, son of perdition, is actually revealed. And then anytime after he's revealed, people, that says the Christians, they're going to be pointing out who he is, they're going to be taken. And that should wake people up. And I'll probably make a video of what to do if you're actually not taken. Because right now, all you got to do is have faith. Have faith in Jesus. And believe that He loves you. He came for you, died for you, and that His death covers your sins, forgives your sins. And if you just confess it, your sin to Jesus and admit you're a sinner and ask Him to save you, you're golden. You're good to go. But after that, after the rapture there, that's not how it's going to be. That's not how it's going to be. So I'm going to make a video about that just in case, I get like the 0 views, and then when I'm gone, somebody might want to actually look at what I had to say. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works. We'll see. But anyway, that is that for this video. Thanks for watching and take care.